Welcome to the Rubidoux Unified School District. Well, the December 16th, 2019. Roll call, please.
President Garcia.
Here.
Trustee Ortega.
Here.
Trustee Char.
Here.
Trustee Bradford.
Here.
Trustee Ray.
Here.
Thank you. So first item, item A. Okay, item A, elect board president, Trustee Ortega.
Thank you. By state law requires election of a president, and board policy requires election of a president and clerk. And at this time, I would like to call an election for board president. Any nominations?
I'd like to nominate you, Ms. Ortega, for president for this year.
Any others? See none, we'll move forward to
All those in favor?
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? No. Abstain? No. So passes.
Congratulations, Ms. Ortega.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Item B will be elect clerk. And now I would like to conduct another nomination for board clerk.
I nominate Trustee Bradford for clerk.
Any others? Okay, see none. We'll move. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No. Abstain? No. It passes. Congratulations. We'll take a few minutes to move and rearrange our seats. Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to item C, select date, time, and place of regular meetings. Mr. Ducharme.
Thank you, President. Item C is there is supplemental material in your agenda that has the calendar for meeting dates in the 2020-2021 school year. We need a motion to accept that calendar.
I motion to accept the calendar.
Second. Ms. Ortega.
It was, yeah, it
Mo-
was moved by Trustee Bradford.
Moved by Trustee Radford. Chard, sorry. Any
Or
questions?
discussion?
Discussion? Move to call for the vote, sorry.
You got to vote too. You got a lot to do up here.
Passes 5-0. Item D, select representative for annual county committee on school district organization election. Mr. Ducharme.
Thank you again. The board is required to select a person to attend once a year to elect people to the County Committee on School District Organization. This person is not a member of the committee, but votes for members of the committee and must be present in order to vote. Currently, that person is Trustee Bradford. The board may select anyone they choose, as long as they're on the board. Yes, I'm sorry, needs to be a nomination.
So I nominate, if you're willing, Trustee Bradford? Sure. Yep, okay.
There's no
Did-
other
I second.
nominations.
If you need a second, I
Did-
second.
we don't need a second?
No.
No second.
No, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? So moved.
Congratulations.
Item E, certification of signature, Mrs. Ford.
Education code requires a certification of signatures form be completed following the annual organizational meeting of the Board of Education and returned to the Riverside County Office of Education. Administration recommends the certification of signatures and the backup materials be approved.
First.
Move for approval.
Yeah, need a
Second.
motion.
Second.
First by
Robert?
Robert
Second.
Rego.
Discussion.
Any discussion, comments? Okay, so move.
Please vote.
Call for the vote, sorry. Passes 5-0. Item F, appoint liaison representative to district advisory committees, Mr. Ducharme.
The board should designate a member as a liaison representative to each of the following two committees: the District Advisory and English Language Learner Committee. Currently, Trustee Chard is the representative to the District Advisory Committee, and Trustee Ortega is the representative to the English Learner Advisor Committee. This can be done by consensus. The president appoints. The president may
Okay.
appoint.
So I would like to appoint Linda Chard, Trustee Chard, sorry, for District Advisor Committee. Thank you, and I continue to, if I can appoint myself to the District English Learner Advisory Committee.
And you can adjourn the organizational committee meeting.
We don't need to vote.
You know, you just adjourn the meeting.
And we adjourn the organizational meeting. Good evening all. I'd like to call to order public session board, educational board meeting for Monday, December 16th, 2019. Roll call.
President Ortega,
Here.
Trustee Bradford,
Here.
Trustee Chard,
Here.
Trustee Garcia,
Here?
Trustee Rego,
Here.
Darian Warhawk,
Here.
Miguel Esparza,
Here.
Jasmine Lane.
Here.
Thank you. If I can ask Jasmine for us, and after if we can remain standing for a minute of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing, please. We would like to hold a moment of silence for Miss Mary Gutran, retired employee who passed away on November 29th. Ms. Gutran was employed from 1974 to 1994 as an instructional aide and also as an activity supervisor from 1987 to 1994. Mary retired in 1994 after 20 years of service to the Jurupa Unified School District. Thank you. You may take a seat. We have our inspirational comment by Trustee Bradford, please.
I was trying to think of what's most important to me around this time of year, and I decided it's gratitude. So to represent that, I chose some quotes from Anne Frank, who was born in Germany in 1929 and was murdered at Bergen-Belsen concentration camp when she was 15. So the next time you hear someone say something negative or you read Facebook, think of Anne Frank's words instead. Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy. I keep my ideals because in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. And how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Any reports from closed session?
Yes, we have one. In closed session, the board voted to deny the complaint appeal of employee number 031824 in a unanimous vote. The findings and conclusions of the investigator were affirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1, welcome. A, student board members, Mr. Ducharme.
Good evening. I know it's a busy time of year. I think you are all finishing your first semester. I hope doing very well. I assume so. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here. Let's start tonight with Rubidoux High School, Jasmine.
Okay. Good evening, night, district members. My name is Jasmine Leva. I hope you all had a great day and have a great week. It has been a busy month for Rubidoux High School. The end of first semester is coming to an end faster than expected. Winter sports are on to a good start. Boys and girls basketball played against our rival school, Patriot, which were both interesting games. The boys game was really close, and as well as our boys soccer played against Patriot. Last Friday we had our holiday celebration in the quad where we had games and holiday music for our choir and bands. Both had concerts which were successful. We had a pretty full audience. On Friday, our junior ROTC went to Pacific Avenue Elementary and sang chorals for the students, as well as our ASB government helped gather presents for our elementary school to give away. Although our Reaches students had finals last week, the end of finals comes to an end this week. Tomorrow, our boys basketball plays against A.B. Miller away, and our wrestling team plays home at 5 against A.B. Miller. Upcoming events that we have is our Blacklight Rally, which is the theme Egypt. This is all I have for you today. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful break.
Thank you so much, Miguel. Could you tell us about Patriot High School?
Sure. I hope everyone's having a good evening. Events coming up, and has had some wonderful events this past time. At the Carnival Club sold food, played games, and at the basketball game, we played against Rubidoux. Patriot won 62-58. Let that sink in. We also, next semester, have a winter rally coming up on January 31st. The theme is Nightmare After Christmas, so we hope to have a great crowd participation for that. And our winter ball is on February 1st at 7 to 11, the Silver Lake Sports Complex. We also recently wrapped up our canned food and toy drive. This past week, we collected a lot of cans from the advisory class, and we actually had a special incentive where the advisory class with the most cans got a donut party and free admission to the Winter Carnival. We also wrapped up our PK sessions for the parents. On the 10th, we hosted to 71 parents who graduated and finished the program. We had a advisory door decorating competition for the holiday season, and Miss Cabrera won. Our finals are on Wednesday and Thursday. Yikes. Monday, the 16th, we have a boys basketball game versus Ontario. Tuesday, the 17th, we have a girls water polo game. against Ranch Mirage. Wednesday, we have a boys soccer game against. I didn't write it down. And Thursday, we have a girls basketball game versus Colony. And that concludes what I have for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Also, thank you for being here. Darian, could you please tell us about Jurupa Valley High School?
Good evening, everyone, and happy holidays. A little over a week ago on Friday, December 6th, ASB had their winter rally with the theme of Candyland. The week of the rally, we had our Spirit Week, which included Cherry on Top, Wear a Hat, Mike and Ike Twin Day, Sugar Rush, Wear Athletic Gear, Talk Nerdy to Me, Dress Like a Nerd, and the day of the rally, Wear Colorful Clothing or Jag Gear. Our rally included many candy decorations with colorful streamers and balloons. ASB was pleased with how it turned out, and it was very successful. Theater recently won an incredible award for their recent play, 12 Angry Jurors. They will be performing an 8-minute cut of their fall play at CDTA HSTF in January. We also recently had our Performing Arts Winter Showcase on Thursday, December 12th. At this showcase, the Theater 1 students were able to perform to an audience for the first time, and band and choir performed too. Winter sports have officially begun, and our sports have been doing exceptional. Boys varsity basketball is 9-1 right now and had a home game last Friday, winning right at the buzzer. The score was 57-55. They play today at Workman High School at 6 o'clock p.m. and have their next home game on January 9th at 6 o'clock p.m. Girls basketball is 2-3 as of right now and play tomorrow at Fontana High School at 6 o'clock p.m. Boys soccer is currently 2-2 and have their next home game tomorrow versus Roosevelt High School, starting with JV at 3:15 p.m. Fontana High School with JV starting at 3:15 p.m. and varsity starting at 5 p.m. Lastly, girls water polo has been doing exceptionally well and have a home game tomorrow with JV starting at 3:15 and varsity at 5 o'clock. Though the first semester is coming to an end, JVHS has so much in store for our second semester. On January 15th, we are having our Jag Rush, where we have incoming freshmen from Mariloma Middle School and Del Sol Academy come check out what Jurupa Valley is all about. We do a little mini rally for them where they get to play games, and then they check out the clubs around campus. Depending on time, we will give them a quick tour around the school. Next, on January 29th, we will have our second blood drive, and we will be starting signups as soon as we get back from break. Thank you, guys.
And thank you all. Did you say January 28th is the blood drive?
The 29th.
29th. Thank you.
Thank you, students, and much luck to you in your finals, and happy holidays to you. Moving on to item 2A, recognize winner of Long Night of Arts and Innovation Award and Scholarship,
Thank you. Crystal Hernandez, are you here tonight? Can you come up front so we can brag about you a little bit? Thank you. The City of Riverside hosts the Long Night of Arts and Innovation event and honors 2 recipients with a prestigious award and a scholarship in the Arts and Innovation categories. We're excited and happy to announce that Crystal Hernandez, a junior at Rubidoux High School, will be the recipient of the Arts Award and Scholarship. Congratulations, Crystal, on your prestigious award. And Crystal, I don't have the information. Can you tell us what the title of your project was?
It was more of a letter of recommendation for my teacher because last year I got runner-up in a Congress of Riverside award, and I got runner-up. And then that pushed me further with the letter of recommendation for my teacher because I've always gotten like A+ in art, and then my teacher like really spoils me, lets me work on any project and anything I want to do, and she just loves it all, loves me. So I'm very grateful for her and the program.
Would you like to name your teacher, saying such kind words? Ms. Stewart. Thank you very much, Crystal.
Item B, recognize Rubidoux High School and Patriot High School choir students. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. Same thing. Will our choir students come up so we can brag about you a little bit? All right. We would like to recognize the following students who were accepted into the California All-State Honor Choir. They will perform at the Honors Concert associated with the California All-State Music Education Conference during a February 2020 event in Fresno, California. Congratulations to the following students on a wonderful accomplishment. From Rubidoux High School, Carissa Espinosa. From Patriot High School, Corey Fisher. Harley Glenn. Morgan Jordanay. Donovan LeMay. Samuel Martinez. Jeremy Pena. And Ryan Stenger. Thank you.
Congratulations. Item C, recognize Veronica Capita, Jurupa Middle School teacher, Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. Mrs. Capita, would you stand? We won't make you come to the front. The California League of Schools recognizes educators who exemplify excellence in the classroom. Recently, 12 middle school teachers from Region 10, which makes Riverside and San Bernardino County, of the California League of Middle Schools were selected as finalists for the 2019-20 CLMS Educator of the Year. We would like to recognize Veronica Capita, math teacher at Jurupa Middle School, for her recognition as a finalist at the California League of Middle Schools Educator of the Year Awards held on December for quite some time, and her passion for her work is evident. She works in several district committees and lends her expertise across the district, as well as ensures that every student in her class achieves. So congratulations, Mrs. Capita.
I also wanted to add, board members, would you mind showing off the ornaments that you received this evening? Do you have them with you? Those came from, or they're in front, they came from the engineering class at Jurupa Valley High School, made by the students as a class object, and we'd just like to recognize the talent of our students that brought them. Actually, I got one too, so thank you to Jurupa Valley High.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move on to board comments. We'll start with Trustee Garcia. Regal. We'll start.
My maiden name is Garcia. So either way, you were right. I'd like to first start by thanking Jurupa Valley High School for making these beautiful ornaments. I've never seen anything like that, and just appreciate that talent, and I get to keep it. So it's even better. Might make it to my Christmas tree. Want to congratulate Crystal. Is she still here? Nice job. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you, as well as the students from Patriot and Jurupa Valley for the choir. Did I miss that one? Yeah. Congratulations. And then Veronica Capita. You're such a saint. You know, middle school is not an easy task for anybody, and all of you, thank you so much for continuing to stay dedicated within our district and our students, and being involved in other committees. You're infectious, and so thank you so much, and congratulations. I'm sure it was well deserved. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you. Trustee Garcia.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to congratulate Crystal as well. Congratulations on that award. And the Rubidoux and Patriot High School choir, and Ms. Capita. Congratulations again. I'd also like to congratulate you for being selected as this year's president. I'm sure you'll do a fine job. And Trustee Bradford, you as well. So, and I just wanted to mention a couple of things. So I got an opportunity to go to a couple of PK graduations in the last month or so. First one was at Jurupa Valley High School. They must have had maybe 38 parents. A beautiful event. And Ms. Ortega gave a beautiful keynote speech there. And also Patriot High School, they had 71 parents. So, and the program fluctuates, you know, parents graduate, next year new people come in. So anyway, it's a great program, and any of you parents who haven't heard of it, you should look into it. Very good program. And also we went to the annual conference a couple of weekends ago, and the school board conference, and the district was awarded 2 golden bells, one for Avid and one for dual immersion. So congratulations to everyone there. Got a letter from Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes. I won't read it, but she sends her congratulations to the team. So, Dave, if you please pass that on. And finally, I think this is it. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we dedicated Building 400 at West Riverside, and we renamed that building after a gentleman by the name of Admiral Allen Hill. And he attended that school way back when, so Building 400 was renovated while that work still continues, and he sent us a letter. So a short letter, I'd like to read that. Dear Robert Garcia and fellow supporters of West Riverside Dragons, as the holiday season approaches, I'd like to thank all of you for the gift bestowed upon me. At this point in my life, it was an unexpected name attached to Building 400 is truly a privilege. I never imagined that my career would inspire current and future Dragons, but with your help, I hope that this is the case. I did not have the words at the ceremony, nor can I rightfully now express my appreciation for such a magnanimous tribute. With gratitude and salute, Jackie and I thank all involved for that special day. We wish you all a blessed and Merry Christmas. Allen Hill. And I'll share that with you, Trent. So, and that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have Trustee Chard.
Well, I don't continue repeating everything, but I ditto what Mr. Garcia said and Ms. Regal to honor to this district and continue to do that. Also to our high school senior or representatives, thank you for being there every time and keeping us updated on your programs and things to go on. Good luck to all of you in your finals. PK programs, and this to listen to the parents get up and speak. They always have a couple of parents who speak, and the program, they would not be able to move forward with their children, help them make the right decisions on what classes, what courses, what pathway they were going to go. And one parent spoke and said that he didn't join with his first son, but with his second son he did, and he regretted that he didn't join to help his first son. But with a family, as they join, they are now working as a family, so everyone's going to benefit from the lessons, the classes, all the things that they learn, how to fill out the paperwork and everything. It's a great program, and as Mr. Garcia said, if you're not familiar with it, check into it, please. Anybody at any of the high schools can help you with that program and get you into that. Also, the CSBA convention gave all of the board members and Kevin an opportunity to listen to new programs that are being tried by other school districts. Keep us updated from CSBA. Then some of the bills that are going through, or what may come in the future through the elections, in the bond issue that's on the ballot for March for next year. And it just gave us a chance to relax and get to know each other even better. I mean, every year we go to this, but every year we learn a little more about each other and what makes each other tick and how we make this district tick and keep going. So it's quite a refreshing and enjoyable time to spend just 3 or 4 days together. I think that's all right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bradford.
Hi, everybody. There are 2 things I want to tell you about tonight. First, I do the things that you're hearing described. There were a couple other things that I did. I went to the NEAJ members activity one afternoon just because I like to stay in touch with the teachers on their turf rather than right here in the district. and make myself available to questions. I went to the CTE showcase, which was absolutely cool. Again, there's never enough time to see all the interesting stuff that went on, that our students are doing. I attended, Clint and I attended the JVHS drama 12 Angry Jurors, which was an update of the old Henry Fonda movie. And it's exciting to see our students have this kind of outlet to show their serious talent. Let me see, I visited Glen Avon Elementary School with Superintendent Duchamp and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Hanson. Let's see, helped with the holiday food drive, and that is truly something to get you teary-eyed, to look at all of the students, this pandemonium that is organized, and they make sense of it, and they're working together in separate duties from what they do in class, and they're happy, and it's exciting, and it's like ions and atoms bouncing against each other, and it all works, and it's good for them, and it's good for our community. Let's see. Oh, then I also, we attended the nutrition services holiday dinner, which was the cafeteria staff. Well, just coincidentally that morning, Superintendent Duchamp and I were meeting over at Glen Avon. It's in such a torn up, I accidentally walked in through the cafeteria, which was beneficial because as I looked around, I saw this little sign that said, "Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear aprons." And that was enough to make me start crying because and before we left the dinner that evening, I said I wanted to say thank you to all the cafeteria workers, that they're the ones who look at the kids in the face and see, do you seem off today, or is everything going okay, or how are you doing, sweetheart? And they have the opportunity to help our students in ways that other positions might not. So another reason that I wanted to talk to you is to share the thoughts of the 4th grade students at Camino Real Elementary when I went to Daniel Olguin's class. I wrote a story, a fable called How Riverside Lost Its River, and they wanted me to read to the class. They were very excited that I was reading my own story, and they wrote me the most adorable notes. I've put them over there next to Vita's because I think you all should look at these. Dear Mrs. Bradford, thank you for everything. Thank you. First, I thank you for the super assistance to let Mr. Olguin, Mrs. Cook, Mrs. Wynn, and Mrs. Serla being teachers. Next, I really loved the story you read us because I thought the lesson was very good and the story was very well written. Now, that's a tough crowd, 4th graders. I think it's amazing. These are all the things I want to thank you for. Here's one that says, to Mrs. Bradford, believe in yourself. Never give up on yourself. You are awesome. Dear Mrs. Bradford, when you came, I was so excited because you were so nice. How did it feel to come here, and how did it feel when you joined? Thank you for reading your story. If you come back, I'll be so happy. Sincerely. You bet I'm going back to that class. Here's another one. And Mr. Olguin explained that I was a trustee, and what does that word mean? It comes from the root word trust, okay? And that perhaps your parents voted for Mrs. Bradford. Well, here's another one who says, thank you for making sure problems you clarify with their parents and to make sure everything is okay. We appreciate all of the hard work you do for us. Thank you. And finally, the last one I want to say is, overall, thank you for reading to us, and thank you for keeping the school good. And isn't that what our teachers and our staff do? I mean, skip the grammar, but you keep the schools good, and the fourth graders are proud of you, and I'm proud of you too. And please do take a look at the notes over there. Thank you for indulging me in the extra time.
Thank you for sharing. And wanted to say congratulations to all the recognized. Thank you, students, again, for spending your valuable time when you can be doing studying or your homework. Thank you so much. I wanted to acknowledge a city official that I see in the room, Mr. Kelly. Thank you for joining us, too. I know that it's a big week for you as well as pro tem, and you will be taking the seat of mayor. I met you a little bit over 3 years ago, and reconnected, and we were under 29 years old, or we were still in our 20s. And I remember vividly having this conversation with you and how you were running for the city and I was running for the school board. And really, like, what connected us was that we wanted to give back to our community, and we wanted to see the younger youth also look up to us and see that we have that philanthropical spirit. And I'm just so happy to be able to serve and now be trusted as the president. We all have stories, and we all are the best persons to tell them. And I think we have that responsibility to also bring up the next generation, and I think that's what we're trying to do. And looking at the youth, that they can also, if I myself got expelled from this same school district and now get to serve as a president, I mean, out of my wildest dreams did I ever think that was possible. But again, I thank my community for trusting me, and my colleagues as well, that is possible. So the stories that we get to tell these students is have that resiliency, have that heart, and have that spirit of coming back to wherever you're from and your roots, and serve with heart and humility. So thank you for allowing me and my colleagues in the board to do that, along with city officials that care. I was this past Friday, we got invited to the airport, to the Flaybob Airport. I grew up down the street from that airport, and the individuals that set it up, it just, again, did it with heart and got so many donations, filled up. Instead of a Santa with a sleigh, they did a Santa in an airplane, like literally, and they put all the toys and everything in there just to see the faces of these children. And I grew up in Rubidoux, and I grew up very poor, so sometimes my parents only had about probably this big of a chocolate to wrap, and I got to unfold it, and that was the best gift I can have. So just to see the faces of these kids on Friday was just, wow, that is what we do. We come back and we serve. And they also got to do snow. I remember I didn't get to see the snow when I was younger, until I was older. And just, again, the faces of these children, and that's what, again, we do this work. So I wanted to say thank you to our friends in Flaybob, and the plans that they have to give back to the community are just amazing. And to be part of that event, just, wow, I went home, cried too. There was little things that made me cry, because we met also the pastor from the church in the corner, and was just like, I've never seen a community like this before. And he's from Moreno Valley, so it was an honor to just be there and to feel the presence of joy and amazing. I, along with my board colleagues, went to the annual conference. I invested a lot of time in workshops on social emotional wellness, and how that is just a very vital topic right now, and that a lot of districts don't know exactly what to do. But I just want to reassure our district that we are doing what is necessary, and there is a lot more need. But we continue to as we continue to grow, we continue to learn, and the needs also continue to be there. So I'm invested in learning too, and being able to learn on what areas we can improve in that. And then tomorrow will be, I think it's really important to, like you were sharing, Trustee Bradford, on on our roll. Like, a lot of individuals don't know exactly why we're elected and what we do and things like that. So tomorrow I have the privilege to go to San Bernardino County, and along with other board members and a superintendent from Rialto, I believe, to just share to parents what the board does and have questions. So in English and Spanish, if any of the parents have questions on where do they see the need. So just really, we're a panel, but really it's very informal, and we get to communicate and have that one-on-one conversation with the parents there in San Bernardino. And they have an open house too, but I won't be able to stay for that. But I'm excited for that, and then I'll leave the rest of my comments for later. Moving on, we'll move on to public comments. We have a few cards, so I want to be mindful of that. We all have 3 minutes to speak. Again, we have a few cards, and Trustee Bradford will remind you, we will have on the board here. So please, if you can be cautious of your other community members. We are here to listen to you, but at the same time, we want you to respect one another's times. So with that, if we can have Matthew Reese.
Good evening, everyone.
Should be on.
My name is Matthew Reese. I have taught in the Jurupa Unified School District for 13 years now, and I've lived in the community for 21 years. I teach 7th grade at Miraloma Middle School, and I'm here tonight because I'm concerned with how the Collab classes are implemented. 2 of my classes are Collab classes, where we mainstream special ed students into a regular class, which can be a really good thing for them. However, my Period 1 class has 50% of them on legally binding education plans, and my Period 2 class has 44% of the students on legally binding education plans. With percents this high, the classes have become more of a special ed class than a regular class. I've expressed my concerns to the principal at Miraloma Middle School about these numbers, and my situation is not unique. There are other classrooms that have the same problem. The response I've gotten is, you know, I can put 35 students in that class. We need help. I need help. A response like that is not the help we need. To get a response like that from your principal is ignoring the problem, and to me shows a lack of respect for the teachers of the classroom. The way the Collab classes are right now is a disservice to both types of students, the special ed students and the regular students that are in those classes. Our principal has been unwilling to work with us on these numbers, and what is being asked of us at Miraloma Middle School is not reasonable. So I've come here to ask for help, that we can work on setting some kind of policy that's going to help us better serve all of the students, to work with these percentages and numbers of kids in classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Wendy Eccles.
But I wasn't ready. Been all over the place. All right, so here we go. All right. Good evening, everyone in the room. I would like to thank Jurupa members for their constant and persistent dedication to our students and our profession. Despite what sometimes seems like an insurmountable daily challenges and tasks, they work tirelessly to provide the best educational outcomes they possibly can. Mr. Ruiz, one of our best of the best from this week, just gave an example of how he's trying his very best despite the fact that his class sizes are not what they should be in order to provide the best possible learning environment for their students. As we end 2019, it is more important than ever to recognize the hardworking staff of our district, like Mrs. Capita, who was just honored by the California League of Middle Schools, and also Mrs. Geldine back there, who was one of our best of the best honorable mentions. Again, thank you to Mr. Brooks and Mr. Dabrowski for working with me to address the myriad of concerns that I have brought forth. Although we have been discussing and attempting to tackle increased workload, student behavior, and some of the things that we just brought up, Ms. Ortega, the trauma of our students, culturally responsive pedagogy, adverse childhood experience, inclusive practices, and adult wellness. We still have more to do. I look forward to continuing the collaborative practice when we return, including the Joint Inclusion Committee and Behavioral Social Emotional Learning Committees, and to really address multi-tiered systems of support and with creative solutions that do not increase our members' workload. Thank you to Mr. Duchamp and to the Board of Trustees for listening to and taking my speeches to heart, or at least I hope you are. My purpose here is to have open and honest dialogue with you. I will continue to bring candid comments and questions, including consideration for a board resolution to support the Schools and Communities First initiative and the fight for better school funding and tax fairness. To the trustees, I extend my open invitation to attend our representative council meetings. I know Mrs. Bradford was able to attend back in August. This stands for the remainder of the year and from this point on. I hope that you were able to come to one of our meetings upon returning in January. I'll send you another calendar. It is my hope that we, on the labor management collaboration journey that we have embarked upon, continue to build trust and strengthen our joint resolve to work together in the best interest of Jurupa Unified School District. To restate that African proverb that I've used so many times, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I wish all of JUSD a happy holiday season and look forward to all that we can accomplish together in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eccles. Next, we have Valinda Dominica.
Just Val is fine. I'm Val Donkev. I have a student at Patriot High School, and I have a student.
Can you bring your mic a little bit?
Why are you calling me short?
No. Thank you so much.
Okay, I have a student at Patriot High School, and I have a student at Sunnyslope Elementary. And my concern is the safety of the school. Just a little story to tell. I had a brother-in-law who had a horrible childhood. He was stolen from his mother. He was beaten by his father. His father sexually abused his sister. But you know what? School was safe. He loved school. He got fed at school. He didn't have to steal food to eat as long as he obeyed the rules. He was treated well. He was taken care of. But unfortunately, that's not what's happening at Sunnyslope. There is a person on campus that is hurting children. We're to talk about kindness and being examples for children and give them awards for their behavior, yet we have an employee at the school site that is hurting them, putting hands on the children, head, in the back of the head, pushing them in the cafeteria, calling them names like moron. It's not acceptable. And when it was brought to the attention of administration, we see that same person still on campus, move to the most vulnerable on the campus, the 5-year-olds in kindergarten, to assist there, where they can't speak for themselves or they don't speak for themselves. We know that we're not allowed to find out what happens in personnel and what the consequences are. However, we've done everything that we can do. We called administration, we called CPS, and we called the Sheriff's Department. The person absolutely categorically denies it, but my child is one of the persons who saw what happened happen and reported it to me. So we need to look at the amount of supervision that goes on in the schools, because certainly I don't think Sunnyslope stands alone in wanting to take care of their children. We have in Jurupa Middle School last year, we have about per 100 kids do it. We've had fights at Patriot High School where the palatero had to break up the fight because there was not enough supervision. We need to be careful in our schools. Our schools need to be the safe place that they should be. We can't control everything, and I understand that, and neither can the board control everything, but we've got to do our utmost when we're aware of things that are going on. We recently had a car stolen out of the parking lot at Sunnyslope. None of the parents were even informed that the car was stolen out of the lot, and perhaps they could be reminded to lock their cars. You know, a gun was brought to school 2 years ago. We found out about it in the newspaper, not from our principal at the time. So we want to have the board commit themselves to a safer environment and to follow up on keeping our children safe.
Thank you. Next, we have Fredo Ibarra.
Hi, my name's Gregoryvara. I have a daughter at Sunnyslope Elementary. My daughter was physically abused by a supervisor there, the same supervisor Miss Val was talking about. She was yanked by the arm. She was humiliated. This hasn't just happened once, it's happened twice. We brought it up to the principal. It's frustrating that nothing's being done about it. Nothing. We went to the police. We started a criminal investigation, but the supervisor still is on campus. She can't be on campus. This isn't the first instance that we know of. When our daughter told us about this, we started asking questions. Other people came up, other parents, other kids also made reports. We're not the only ones. It's like I said, it's frustrating knowing that my daughter still goes to that school and that supervisor is still there. We live in fear. What's going to happen to my daughter? Nobody could give us any answers. Nobody. No one. No. We went to the sheriff's, like we said, CPS. We've also had a meeting with a lady named Rita Lee. For Jurupa Valley, the Jurupa Valley School District. I want something. I don't know where to go from here. My daughter's been physically abused, mentally abused, and nobody can give us an answer. I need an answer. I need that lady removed from that school. We can't go on like this. There's been an open investigation for 2 months, and we haven't heard one word. We've had a criminal investigation going on for a month. We haven't heard a word yet. So I'm asking you to give us some answers. Find out what's going on in this investigation, because our kids are still vulnerable. Our kids won't talk. Our kids won't talk to us unless we tell them, whether they're scared or they forget. Okay? Like I said, there's other kids that have been abused that I know of, and other parents will come forward. Do something. We need answers. We need action. And action should have
I'd like to address you and all of the parents. We are aware that there is a situation. It has been investigated by staff. You may say investigated by the sheriff. We cannot, and I will tell you, will not report any discipline in regard to staff or any legal action that would happen through the sheriff's department. It would help if you would turn into Mrs. Denise Hernandez, who's sitting here, any written reports if you haven't already. We can listen to your words, but your written reports would be much more powerful. We certainly do not want any child to be abused, and if we have direct information, we'll deal with it.
Thank you. Next, we have Fatima Ibarra.
Good evening. Thank you, board members and members of the cabinet, for your time. I am Alfredo Ibarra's wife. We have 2 daughters in Sunnyslope Elementary. One is in 6th grade. She's 11 years old. The younger daughter, she's only 9 years old. She's in 4th grade. Like my husband said, well, I don't want to repeat a lot of what has been said. This problem has been brought to the attention of the principal since last school year, 2018-2019. This supervisor has been yelling at the students, has been verbally abusing them. A lot of the parents have complained. Nothing was done. The supervisor was still at the cafeteria, verbally abusing the kids. This year, it escalated to physical. That's when we talked to the principal, asking her to please, if there was an investigation, just remove her away from the kids. She can still be working at the school. We don't mind that at that point. when the first time we our concerns, just have her away from the kids. She said she cannot do that. We talked to her. It was several parents. It's not only one parent. Nothing was done. After we complained to the principal, more incidents kept happening. Like my daughter was pulled out by her arm, pulled out of the line by the supervisor, make her stand in a soldier position to dress code her because she was wearing shorts. Another student, I'm sorry, she was pushed so hard, she fell on her knees. She was humiliated instead of saying sorry because she pushed her and dropped her on the floor. She humiliated, just yelling at her to pick up her trash and hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Her mother's right here. I don't know if you guys have somebody to translate because they only speak Spanish. This is so frustrating because we feel that we can't do anything. We try to do the things right. We try to do what it was, the steps we were supposed to take. We felt forced after we talked to the principal, we felt ignored. After the district, we felt ignored. That's why we went to the police. Now, if we feel forced, we're gonna have to go to the media because this cannot keep happening.
Thank you. Mrs. Ibarra, can you get your information from Denise or vice versa? Thank you.
Again, I want to say, please put the details that you've told us tonight in writing, because all we can do is do an investigation, and without the details, that I believe some of this is new information. So please, do what you're doing right now. We will do everything we can for the situation. I will tell you, though, the principal does not have the authority to remove somebody from her school. Our employees do have rights, and we respect those rights, as well as the rights of your students, and we will protect your children.
Thank you. Next, we have Selena Medina. Ella le va a interpretar. So nomás si quiere hable aquí en el micrófono. Gracias.
Okay. Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Selena Medina.
My name is Selena Medina.
Soy padre de familia de la escuela elemental. Oh, no. Sí, elemental Sunnyslope.
I'm a parent at Sunnyslope.
Tengo dos niñas en el programa de doble inversión.
Dual immersion.
Excuse me, can I have you speak? I can't hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Dígame a mí y yo lo digo aquí. ¿Cómo le parece?
Muy bien.
Sí.
Mis dos niñas.
I have two daughters at Sunnyslope in dual immersion.
Ya. Una de 9 años.
One's 9-year-old.
En cuarto año y la
4th grade.
La segunda en sexto año.
And the other one is in 6th grade.
Mis niñas desde el año pasado.
My girls since last year.
Me han estado diciendo.
They've been telling me
que había entrado una supervisor a la escuela.
That campus supervisor entered the school.
Que les gritaba. Golpeaba las mesas.
Would hit the tables in the cafeteria.
Ellas sentían miedo.
They felt fear.
Este año,
this year,
después de ver,
after seeing,
de juntarnos unas mamás en comentario,
after seeing and parents getting together and making comments over
of
what was occurring,
todos coincidimos que era la misma persona.
We all concluded that it was the same person, and then we all agreed to speak to the principal.
En ese momento todavía mis niñas no eran agredidas físicamente.
And at that point, my daughters weren't attacked physically.
Sino al siguiente día de ver puesto el reporte con la principal.
After speaking to the principal that day, the next day, my daughters were attacked physically.
mi niña de 11 años, la que está en sexto año,
My 11-year-old daughter that's in 6th grade,
ella la empujó
the campus supervisor pushed her.
yendo en la cafetería. Mi niña iba caminando
My daughter was walking towards in the cafeteria
a tirar la basura.
to throw away her trash.
Después de haberle insistido varias veces levantando la mano,
After her daughter was insisting, she was raising her hand
a que ella ya quería
so
levantarse a tirar la
to get
basura.
up and throw the trash away.
Ella decía no y les gritaba que
She
no
was
era
like,
su
no,
turno,
it
que
wasn't her
esperara,
turn, and she was yelling, and she told her to wait.
hasta cuando ella se levanta le dijo, oh, stand up, you go, que ella fuera a levantar.
Then later on, the supervisor told her to get up and throw the trash away. En español.
Mi hija iba caminando hacia dejar
As my daughter was going to
con
go
la
drop,
charola en las manos.
as my daughter was holding the tray, her lunch tray,
Le voy a hacer mi hija me dijo que la señora le hizo así, la empujó tan fuerte que mi niña cae de rodillas en el piso y se le tiró la charola.
the campus supervisor pushed her so hard that her lunch tray fell.
Mas sin embargo, la señora, en vez de disculparse y ayudarle a levantar las cosas,
However, instead of apologizing to my daughter and helping her pick up her lunch tray,
le dice, apúrate y levanta lo que tiraste.
as she tells her, hurry up, pick up your lunch tray, whatever you dropped.
Mi hija me comenta que ella no alzó ni la cara porque yo le pregunté que si tenía algún testigo, algo que le di para tener más, quien pudiera avalar lo que ella decía
So,
para que
did she-
tuviera testigos.
Her daughter, when that occurred, she didn't even lift her face to see if anybody watched what the campus supervisor had done to her.
Ella me dijo que ella le dio mucha vergüenza
And
que
she's-
ni siquiera levantó la cara para saber quién la había visto.
That she was so embarrassed that she didn't even see who watched her. She was so humiliated.
Y eso fue lo que más coraje me dio a mí, de que ni siquiera la señora se disculpa con la niña y
And
le
that's-
ayuda a levantar la basura.
That's what made me very upset, that she didn't even help my daughter and even apologize to her.
Para pedirle su ayuda, porque
And that's
yo
why I'm here
sé,
to ask for help, because I know,
yo sé que esta asamblea es la más importante del distrito,
because I know that the board member is the most important here at the school district,
porque nos vimos obligadas a venir hasta acá con
we
ustedes
felt obligated to come here and speak to you
por no sentir el apoyo directamente de la
because we didn't
escuela.
feel the support directly from the school.
También nos vimos obligadas a levantar un reporte
And we
judicial simplemente para hacer una presión para que hicieran algo y alejaran a esa persona de los.
remove that person from the school site.
Y les pido que por favor nos ayuden
Which is that she's asking for help
a que los niños se sientan seguros
so that the students can feel safe at school.
y que se sienta un ambiente de seguridad, de
And to
que
have an
ellos-
environment that's safe.
porque yo siento que mi niña al hablar de esto, ella ya me dice, ya no, mami, ya no hagas nada, por
as we bring
favor. Ella
as we
siente
bring
miedo.
as we bring this up, my daughter doesn't want to talk about it anymore. She feels a lot of fear.
Y le digo, hija, yo tengo que hacer algo porque yo soy tu mamá
It says, I'm your mother, I have to do something about it.
y yo voy a hacer lo que esté en mis manos.
And I
para-
will do
para
everything
que
in
tú-
my power so that you can,
Porque ella va a seguir en este distrito.
she's going to
Después
continue
de
at this
salir-
district after leaving Sunnyslope.
Ajá. Después está en sexto, ya va.
She's in
va
6th grade,
para
so she's going to go on to middle school.
Med School, Miraloma,
She's going to be attending
para
Loma
seguir
Middle
en
School,
el programa de doble
so
inversión.
she can continue in the dual immersion program.
Entonces yo quisiera que escucharan nuestra súplica que venimos a
Since
hacer
I'm
en
asking
grupo,
for our parents.
porque no es solamente a mi niña,
It's
sino
not just
son
my daughter,
muchos niños.
but it's quite a few students.
Y hay papás, de hecho cuando nosotros le comenté, ¿por qué no vas y te unes con nosotros?
I've commented to other parents to unite with us.
Ellos dicen no,
They responded by saying no
no, que tienen miedo a represalias.
because they're scared that there would be vindictive.
Les doy las gracias por su atención.
Thank you for your attention.
Señora Medina, el superintendente le estaba comentando a los otros papás que sería de muy gran beneficio escribir cartas, sus comentarios los podemos escuchar excelente. La recomendación que le estamos haciendo a usted, los papás, es de ponerlo en el papel, y allí está la señorita Denise, donde le puede dar su correo electrónico o la manera de cómo comunicarse, y ella es la persona que les pueden dar para que pueda
She's
seguir.
just repeating what Mr. Duchamp had said earlier regarding information and
So sí le quieren.
Hernandez.
Okay.
Muchas gracias.
Con esto también le quiero decir que yo soy una mamá activa en la
She
escuela.
says she's a proactive
Me
parent
gusta
at school.
apoyar como
I like to support
voluntaria.
as a volunteer at the school site.
En este momento soy la
At this point,
presidenta del Booster Club
she's the president of Booster Club
y vicepresidenta del comité de ILAC de la
and
escuela.
vice president of ELAC at the site.
Eso es todo.
That's all.
Gracias.
Muchas
Thank you.
gracias. Up next we have Virginia Santisteban.
Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Virginia Santisteban.
My name is Virginia Santisteban.
Soy madre de 3 niños.
I'm the mother of 3 students
Que
at
van a-
Sunnyslope.
Claro.
Sí.
Y estoy aquí porque
I'm here because
desde el año pasado mi hijo me ha
since
estado
last year,
informando de estos sucesos.
my son has been indicating to me about the incidents that have been occurring at Sunnyslope.
No puse atención hasta este año cuando
I didn't pay attention until this year.
mi niño y mi sobrino venían conmigo en
My
el carro
son and my nephew were in the car with me.
y me empezaron a comentar que la
And
supervisora los humillaba, los insultaba.
They were commenting to me that the campus supervisor would humiliate them.
Y lo que más me dolió fue cuando mi niño
What really hurt me was that my son
me dijo que lo había golpeado fuertemente en la espalda.
had hit, campus supervisor had hit him really hard in the back.
Y mi sobrino me lo dijo también.
And my nephew also told me the same thing.
Y también tengo un niño de primer año.
I also have a hijo. I have a son in the first
Y
grade,
también está temeroso ir a la cafetería.
and
ir
he's
a comer a
very
la
fearful to
cafetería
go eat at the
por miedo
cafeteria,
a la supervisora.
afraid of the campus supervisor.
Que los niños prefieren sentarse
The
en el
students
medio de
prefer
la banca
prefer to sit in the middle of the table.
por medio que ellos no porque si se sientan en las orillas
If
es
they
donde
sit at
ella
the end,
golpea a los
it's
niños.
where she hits the students at the end of the table in the cafeteria.
Y creo que no es justo que nuestros niños de primer año y
I
de
don't
los
think
que van
it's
a ir
fair
en
in
kinder
first grade and are going to kindergarten,
tengan miedo a ir a la
be-
escuela, ir a comer a la cafetería por medio de esta persona.
be fear of attending school or attending the cafeteria to eat lunch.
Pusimos nuestra queja con la directora, no
We put our
vimos
complaint
ningún
with the
apoyo.
principal and we didn't receive any support.
También vinimos al distrito y por eso
And we also came to the district and we decided,
decidí tomar la decisión
I
de poner
decided
reporte a
to
la
put
policía.
a police report.
No quise levantar un reporte criminal
I
porque no quise hacer las
didn't-
cosas demasiado grandes, pero
I didn't want to report, file a criminal investigation on her,
porque,
but I did put her police report.
porque queremos que hablamos con la directora que
We
queríamos
talked to
que
the principal,
removieran a la
we just want her
supervisora,
removed,
que no trabajara con niños,
not
que
for,
la
not for her to
pusiera
work with
en otra área
students
donde
and
no
put her in
tuviera que
another
trabajar
area,
con niños.
that's what she doesn't have to work with students.
y no vimos ningún apoyo de la directora.
We didn't receive any support from the principal.
Ya, hay muchos padres que tienen temor
There's plenty of parents that are
de unirse a
afraid
nosotros, de hablar,
to
porque sus
unite
niños
with
no
us
quieren
or
que
to
que
speak
haga
of the
nada.
situation because they don't want this, they don't want the students to be hurt.
Lo que nosotros queremos es resultados. Yo no quiero mandar a mis
We
niños-
want results.
Yo no quiero mandar a mis hijos todos los días a la escuela con el temor de que va a pasar
I
todos
don't
los
want to,
días.
I don't want to send my students daily to school if they're going to be afraid of attending school.
Después de esto tengo 2 fechas en este mes que mi hijo está escribiendo lo que la supervisora hace con
After
otros
the,
niños.
after all these incidents, my son also writes down what is occurring with other students,
Muchas
documenting.
gracias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. That's all.
Señora Sanistaban, ¿verdad? Sí, igual le puede dar su información a la señorita Denise y de allí se comunica con ella. Gracias. And last card we have is Delia Ponce.
Good evening. My name is Delia Ponce. I'm the mom of Dylan Parra, which is in 4th grade, and Danya Parra, students at Sunnyslope. About 2 months ago, my kids were talking about the incident that had occurred in the cafeteria with the supervisor, so-and-so. They indicated to me that the supervisor was yelling a lot and hit them hard, was hitting the tables really hard. To my son Dylan, she had hit him in back of their back really hard, and she whistles at them in their face. My daughter Danya, on 29th of October, pushed her and yelled at her in her ear while telling her to hurry up and sit down. My son asked her a question. My son asked me a question and asked, mi hijo me hizo una pregunta. So my son asked me, why does she hit them if my dad doesn't even hit us? I didn't know what to respond to him. That's why I made the decision to speak out, and I feel that they're being hurt physically and mentally. This person doesn't have the ability to be near students. That's all she wanted to say.
Muchas gracias. Igual si puede compartir su información con la señorita Denise. Gracias. Thank you.
So, to all the parents, we take your words very seriously. We will continue the investigation, and since much of this is new information, we will look into specific incidents. Again, it's very important that you put your concerns in writing or speak directly to Mrs. Hernandez.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Administrative reports and writing communication. A, report on dual immersion program. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. As was mentioned tonight, and as board members recall, our district received 2 Golden Bell Awards this year, one for our system-wide AVID program, the other for our system-wide dual immersion program. So tonight, what I'd like to do is give you a little background information into the history of dual immersion programs in general, a little bit about how they work, and then how that has come to be what it is today in Jurupa. So the dual immersion program, which you will sometimes hear as a dual language immersion program, we shortened it to dual immersion, was based on the philosophy that our mission is to prepare our students academically, linguistically, and socially to meet the changing needs of our global community. The rationale is that dual immersion is what's called an additive bilingual environment. And what that means is you're continuing to teach students to be successful in English, and you're adding in their first language, or for some students, second language, which is Spanish, so that they're going to come and be fluent in both languages and literate in both languages. We know that knowledge learned through one language transfers to other languages. So as students learn rules and things in Spanish, that transfers into academic success in English as well. And that there are cognitive advantages to developing bilingualism and biliteracy. So those students are, they're growing cognitively and they're gaining skills that will benefit them greatly in the workforce. This is a little bit hard to, let me grab this paper so that I can interpret it for you, but there's quite a bit of research about dual language programs and research in general about bilingual programs. And if you just look at those arches, those are measuring achievement, and the top green arch is dual language immersion, much like what we have. The next one down is one-way dual language immersion, so a program, for example, taught purely in Spanish without English. The next one down is transitional bilingual education, which would be one class where the teacher switches back and forth from English to Spanish. And then the next one, the black line, is transitional bilingual, where the English as a second language is taught outside the classroom. The next one, where it's taught through academic content and all in English, where the student is not taught any Spanish. And then the lowest level of achievement, those broken lines, are when English as a second language is taught through a pull-out program and not taught at all during the academic day. So that's kind of the research-based philosophy behind dual immersion, in that in the variety of different ways English and Spanish can be taught. This is the model that shows the greatest level of achievement. In terms of the way our program works, and many dual immersion programs, starting with kindergarten, students receive instruction 90% of the time in Spanish and 10% of the time in English. First grade, it goes to 80% and 20% in English. Second grade, it goes to 70% Spanish and 30%. And through these 3 grade levels, the Spanish teacher, so if I'm in a kindergarten class, my primary teacher, who's there for the bulk of the day, 90% of the time, that teacher only speaks to the students in Spanish, never in English. So when it's time for that 10% of instruction in English, they switch classes. There'll be 2 dual immersion classes, and they switch to another class. And the reason for that is we want the students to believe that that they may only speak to that teacher in Spanish to accelerate their Spanish achievement. And doing that in a little bit of a tricky way helps for the students to then respond in Spanish and not immediately fall back to English as their more familiar language, and accelerates their learning in Spanish. And then by about 3rd grade, that's no longer necessary. So when we get to 3rd grade, then it's 60-40, and then by 4th grade, it's 50-50, and then it remains 50-50 throughout the remainder of their career. So 50% of their time in English, 50% of their time in Spanish. At secondary, that translates into how many periods are taught and in which language. And so the requirement is a minimum of to make it 3 in every case. Examples of some of the classes, sometimes it's Spanish language arts, sometimes it's social studies history taught in Spanish. Sometimes for our students who are at the top levels of high school, there's a translation pathway teaching them to be translators and interpreters. We've taught courses in biology in Spanish, health and AVID elective in Spanish, and also Chicano studies. So it depends on what classes are available and what students are prepared for, and what credentialed teachers in Spanish to meet Spanish. In terms of how dual language immersion programs began, it began in the 60s in Florida. It was some private bilingual schools that were formed specifically to develop bilingualism, and English-speaking families began enrolling their students because English-speaking families also saw the benefit of students who could learn and be biliterate and bilingual in Spanish. So as that began to experience so much success, it grew and grew. Currently, there are over 2,000 programs in the country that are bilingual. We would consider like our district one program, although it's a variety of grade levels in schools. There are over 400 programs in California, and the goal for California set by the state is by 2030 they hope to have 1,200 dual language immersion programs existing, and that wouldn't necessarily just be Spanish, but primarily that's how they're designed. In Jurupa, our first dual immersion class began in 2007 at Sunny's 2 classes. It started in kinder and worked its way up. So there were 2 teachers and 40 students that first year. Now, Sunnyslope has classes through TK through 6th grade. Stone Avenue, which began in 2011, also has students in TK through 6th grade. Pedley, which began in 2016, has TK through 3rd grade, so they are working their way up. Jurupa Middle has students in 7th and 8th grade. Patriot High School has students in 9th through 12th grade. And that graphic is showing this is our first graduating class. That group of 40 students that began in 2007, they're going to walk across the stage this year as well. 8 teachers teaching in dual immersion programs or Spanish classes. We have 1,150 students participating. The program has won the RCOE Model of Excellence Award, and this year the CSBA Golden Bell Award. So it has been tremendously successful. Our students, as you take a look at this graph, the students on the blue bar are students who are dual immersion students. The yellow bar is non-dual immersion students, and this graph shows that in language arts, our dual immersion students perform at or above their non-dual immersion peers in English language arts. So they are proficient in both languages. And then the next graph is in math, same story. Our students perform at or above our non-dual immersion students in mathematics, whether that's taught in English or in Spanish. Additionally, we have students taking advanced placement courses in Spanish, and that begins in 8th grade, which is really pretty spectacular. We have 8th grade students who are, in the beginning, they would go to Patriot High School for a 0 period class instead of AP Spanish language course as 8th graders on the Patriot campus, because Patriot starts at 7:15. But over time that demand grew to the point, and now we offer that course on Jurupa Middle campus as part of their regular day, students taking AP Spanish language, which there are a lot of people who would argue that 8th graders couldn't possibly be prepared to be successful and pass an AP test, period, in any subject, regardless of Spanish. But our pass rate is very close to 100%. I think we had one student that didn't get one of the top 2 levels in the AP test last year. It's been very, very successful, and it really has shown that 8th graders can be successful and pass both the course and the AP test and receive college credit as 8th graders, which is very exciting. So that is our program. We're super, super proud of it. Mrs. Gomez, the Director of Language Services and Student Programs, has put a great deal of energy into the program, as has her staff and department, as had the 48 teachers that are now teaching dual immersion. They are very committed. They take on a very difficult assignment. Teaching in both languages, they have to attend conferences, hold parent meetings. It's a demanding position, and they do a fabulous job. So we're extremely proud of the program and the people that make it work, and the students that have been so successful. And I know for myself, walking onto campus at Patriot and going into a Spanish honors history class and seeing this wide range of students taking this class all in Spanish is just, it's super awesome, and it makes me really proud and excited for them.
Madam President,
Yeah.
may I ask
Any
a question?
questions or comments? Yeah.
Dabrowski, so this year is the first graduating class from the program?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for the great.
I was new to Jurupa Valley when this started, and as an incoming parent, it was too late for us, but I can just tell you from my point of view and from the community, there was so much bickering about it, and then there was a chatter and the wait lists and the drives, and this has come a long way. I mean, looking at the success, I'm thrilled that our district really took that initiative and started with one school and now that we're going to have graduates this year, and hopefully it continues to grow for, all students have that opportunity if they want to take it, because it's something that's investing in themselves. So I want to thank all of the members of the team that really stuck to it and brought the program to where it is. So thank you.
Thank you. I will relay that on. I just want to relay a really quick story. I remember in 2010, a group of parents came to my office. It was a group of Spanish-speaking moms and dads, and they were wanting. We had Sunnyslope at that time, and they were wanting more. And that conversation really led to the impetus for Stone Avenue beginning. But I'll always forget I'll always remember one of those parents was pregnant, and she was explaining that she already had this yet to be born child on the waiting list to make sure that when that child was 5, there would be a dual immersion program for them available, and that's why they were kind of fighting to expand. And although we've expanded to Stone Avenue and expanded to Pedley, we continue to have full programs and don't have any problems finding people to fill those up.
With this program, is there an advantage, for a pathway? Is there a direct pathway for the students if they stay in the program through the whole thing that will take them into college or into a career of some sort? Do we have anything that's added to that yet?
We have the translation and interpretation pathway, which really prepares them to pass the state and federal certification as translators and interpreters. So that can be a career, and it can also be something that students can do while they're in college to make good money moving forward. There are a lot of international studies and programs that are available to students in college, but we don't have a particular, like a CTE pathway, other than the translation and interpretation that students can take their junior and senior year.
Is this the biliteracy award that they get? Is the dual immersion?
Yes,
is
the seal of biliteracy is when you demonstrate proficiency in a language other than English. So all of our students that are continuing with dual immersion are demonstrating that in Spanish. So it's bigger than that, because a student could be proficient in another language because that's the home that they're in, and they know French or German or whatever. So they can also earn that seal of biliteracy, but all of our dual immersion students do earn that.
What would be the next one? This is Spanish, so what would be the next dual immersion language that we have that we may have a large amount of?
I think our superintendent may want to talk about that.
You've already been talking about this.
Yeah, and the answer to that question is it's really tough, because even in Spanish, it's not easy to recruit teachers who are fluent enough to teach in both languages. We would love to do Mandarin, Korean. I could name about 10 languages. And the problem is, it just requires extra staffing, and unfortunately, it's resource-rich program, and we're half-banded, but that's probably going to be a long time coming.
Yeah, the idea of finding 50 credentialed Mandarin-speaking teachers to, build that program out that'd be a very difficult task.
Yeah, although I'm sure personnel is up to the challenge.
You promised me you'd find somebody who spoke Swedish. Mr. Dubrovsky. I keep looking for programs to improve my Spanish, so what I'm thinking the ideal would be if we had English-speaking parents who would like to take Spanish to reinforce at home with their dual immersion students. So have we ever had a tipping point of non-Spanish speaking parents who would like to learn to develop that at home?
We've tried that a few times over the years, and we did not reach that tipping point of enough dedicated, interested parents who were able to come out and participate. So as of yet, we have not.
Do you think our success with the dual immersion program might create additional interest now if we hustled it? Because I still want to improve my Spanish.
Perhaps. I know the last time we had this conversation a few months ago, I spoke with Mrs. Gomez about it, and we sort of pondered the possibilities a little bit, but maybe.
Yeah, and with that, actually, I'm part of CABE. I was going to leave this comment for last, but I sit on a committee for the Best Awards in April, and we strictly talk about, you know, how the conference is going to go, and towards the end, I was like, well, I just wanted to let you guys know that. So I sit as a president, and the vice president is from Anaheim, and they also got a golden bell. So I just told them, I was like, it's very rare for you to get that where, you know, your president and your vice president are like super committed in doing immersion, and they were all just like clapping and high-fiving, and it was really nice to see that. And we've actually, with CABE, the Riverside chapter, we've created a position for community liaison, and that's what we're doing. We're capturing what parents are really interested in, opening up that opportunity for them to also pick up that other language, because I know it's probably something that they wanted to do, and because they dedicated their time or their dreams, they kind of, you know, left them aside. It's something that one of the main topics that we're actually talking about in CABE chapter of Riverside, so I'll have to keep you updated as well.
Because they don't offer it at the public library. I used to tutor in English, and I asked for a Spanish tutor, and they said, we don't have any, and I said, that's not fair. And I took classes at UCR, and that just takes too long.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to item B, other administrative reports and written communication.
And there are none tonight, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to action session, if all of us can refresh our... And it'll take you to the organizational meeting, so we would want to do regular meeting. Item 1, minutes of Jurupa Unified School District, November 8, no?
Action and consent agenda items 1 through.
Oh, here. Sorry, I'm still learning. So administration recommends the board approve, adopt routine action items A1 through 30 as
Second.
first, Trustee Garcia, second, Trustee Regal. Call for the vote. We'll give a few minutes for Trustee Chart to come back. Pass 5-0. In 2020 first interim financial report. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. In December of each year, we bring our first interim financial report to the board for certification. And this report provides an update of what our current financial condition is related to our 2019-20 budget that was adopted by the board in June. To give you a little bit of information about what we learned from the Legislative Analyst Office, which they release a report in November, late November of each year. And there's a few areas that I wanted to highlight that are directly relate to the fiscal outlook for schools. There is an estimated revenue. Estimated revenues are up by $159 million in 2019-20, so a slight increase in what they anticipated from when they adopted the budget in increase in revenues. Revenues are expected to continue to grow, although they said the economy is slowing, but there is still growth, so that's good news for us. The COLA, it has been revised by the Legislative Analyst Office from 3% to 1.79. Under the outlook, the Prop 98 minimum guarantee is up by $3.4 billion for 2020-21, so that's also good news for us. Statewide, attendance is actually dropping, so based on the projected revenue increasing and growing and a decline in attendance, there's actually an estimated $2.1 billion at the state level above the 1.79% COLA that's available for K-14. So that's also good news for school districts. There are some notes in the Legislative Analyst Report that the key economic indicators that they look at for potential signs of a recession, although they said it's not an alarm, but they said they are starting to see weakness in those areas in 2019. Okay. So if we look at our general fund, our first interim report, in the district's first interim budget, I am pleased to say that we have a positive certification, and that means that we're meeting our required 3% reserve in all 3 years. We have some built-in assumptions in our 2019-20 budget, and those assumptions include that we have a 3.26% COLA. We're using prior year ADA because we did have a drop in our enrollment, and therefore we'll have a drop in our ADA for this year. Our STRS and PERS is budgeted accordingly. We have a 78.66% unduplicated pupil percentage count that we're using for this year, which drives our supplemental concentration funding. Our health and welfare cap is at $11,500. We are meeting our required routine restricted maintenance account, which is RRMA, and that is 3% of our expenditures. So we're meeting that requirement this year. And our deferred maintenance is budgeted at $2 million. And then we also, again, are meeting our reserve for economic uncertainties of 3%. If we look at, since the passage of the state budget in July, the district has received, so this is a difference between adopted budget and our first interim budget, the district has received an increase in unrestricted revenues, and that's primarily due to LCFF ADA increasing, so we had an adjustment in our ADA, so it adjusted upward, and that brought us in an additional $502,000. And then we also had additional revenue from the state for one-time funding, which was to offset preschool special education costs. And we did not have to use that for additional programs. We were able to use that just for the additional contribution that we have to make to a preschool special education preschool program. Then we also had funding in other state revenue for K-12 special education, equalization, and the continuation of the career technical education programs. So that resulted in an increase in restricted revenues for our general fund. So if you combine the unrestricted and the restricted, that was an additional $4.2 million in revenue that came in this year. If we look at our expenditures, since the board adopted the budget in June, we settled, as you know, we settled negotiations for both of our bargaining units. And this reflects the increase in the salaries and benefits in both unrestricted and restricted funds. And the district is projecting an increase in the contribution to, we're budgeting an increase in contribution for special education as well as for our child nutrition program. So our total increase in expenditures is budgeted at $5.1 million. Considering revenue and expenditures by percent of our overall budget, so you just get an idea of exactly where we put our funding. The district is expected to receive 83% of its revenue from LCFF. That's the pie chart on the left. And the greatest area of expenditures, of course, is in our people and salaries and employee benefits, with it make up approximately 83.05% of the district's overall expenses. If we look at the multi-year projection, we have some assumptions that we use in order to project 2 years out. And one of the things I wanted to mention is that school districts are the only entity, government entity, that have to project for 3 years. We have to have a current year and 2 years out. That's very difficult to do when the state hasn't actually adopted their budget yet. So we are making assumptions, and these are the assumptions that we're making at this point. So for the COLA, we're making an assumption of 3% for 2021, but as I mentioned, the Legislative Analyst's Office came out with a 1.79% COLA, so we'll have to see what the governor does at his January budget proposal for that. And then in 21-22, we have a 2.8%. Our ADA, we are anticipating that we will continue to have a reduction in our enrollment, decline. We have a decline of 129 projected and budgeted for 2021, and for 21-22, another 47. We are budgeting our STRS and PERS rates as appropriate, what is currently provided to us, which they will continue to increase. Our health and welfare cap is budgeted flat at the $11,500. Our unduplicated pupil percentage, that's on a 3-year rolling average. So that amount is 77.98% in 2021 and 78.10% in 21-22. Again, we're budgeting for our routine restricted maintenance and our deferred maintenance, and we are meeting our required reserve in both of those years. Okay, and as you might recall, our required reserve is 3% of our budget, and that cannot be touched. It's assigned, and we have to have that amount. So in order for us to have a positive certification, we have to be meeting that 3%. If we look at our enrollment and our ADA, you can see that based on our CalPads, as I mentioned, we had a current year decrease of 179 students this year. We're budgeting an additional decline of 129 students for 2021, and then for 21-22, an additional 47 students. So we did have a little bump in 18-19 in our enrollment and our ADA. That was the opening of Del Sol, but we are back in what seems to be an anticipated decline in enrollment at the moment. So on our multi-year revenues and expenditures, for the current year, you'll see that the district is anticipating that there will be a net increase in the ending fund balance of $1 million. However, in 2021 and 21-22, we anticipate deficit spending. Again, we do not actually news, and just like this year, we had $4.2 million additional come in revenue. We book that when we receive it, and that's why we're doing that here at First Interim. So that will be the same for 2021 and 21-22. So we'll have to wait and see where the governor puts that $2.1 billion that will be owed under Prop 98. Okay? But again, we are meeting our required 3% reserve. So in summary, the district has a positive budget certification, and the multi-year projection indicates the district will have a balanced budget and be able to meet its financial obligations in all 3 years. That was the general fund. When we look at the other district funds, we have 10 other funds, and in all of those funds, we have a balanced budget, or we have a budget with an ending balance. So again, administration recommends that the board certify that the district will be able to meet its general financial obligations in all 3 years and maintain a positive ending fund balance in all other funds.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
I have a comment. Thanks for putting this together, Paula. I know I sent you a series of questions, and it's one of those things that I'm still continuing to learn, so I want to thank you for taking the time to go over the budget and explaining all the details to me, so thank you.
I just want to say, Paula, thank you, Mrs. Ford, because I still don't understand this very well, but you guys put it together in such a easy-to-read format, and so I appreciate all the detail. Thank you.
Thank you. And it really is, it is my director of fiscal, Jackie Benson, and her team. They're combing through thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of data and budget to make sure that it's accurate.
To the audience, I've told Mrs. Ford I'm sure glad she has the job rather than me. I can spell any number you want, but don't ask me to be in charge of it. Okay, I have 2 questions, Mrs. Ford. First is, shall we do the ugly one first? And I know what you explained about not booking our receipts until we get them. If something really, really bizarre happened, and I'm looking at the multi-year budget assumption, if we didn't have that projection, how would the district handle it? If we did not have that income that we expect?
Then we would look at areas where we could reduce expenditures.
Okay, so
and we do have contingency plans as far as, we know there are specific areas we could go to make some reductions.
Okay, all right. That's just a what if I needed to ask. Okay, the next question is in going to the 1920 general fund certification and in some assumptions page talking about the deferred maintenance. When we have the construction that is provided by Measure E and our potentially next bond, do we use any of that deferred maintenance money, or does it come, which fund does it come out of first?
So the deferred maintenance is out of our general fund. So we set that aside for projects that wouldn't fall underneath the Measure E project, that wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so they would not. So they would be projects that we would need to do at the district, but they wouldn't fall within the Measure EE project list that the voters approved.
Have we had instances of those?
Such as? We have, for an example, it might be a situation where we're moving offices. And so we need to put a wall up, and so the maintenance department, will handle that, on our trades crew, and it wouldn't be something that we would do out of Measure EE. That would be something we would handle in-house out of our general fund.
Okay, even though that really doesn't sound like maintenance, it's considered out of deferred maintenance.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I thank you and your team for a beautiful report as well. It's a lot of numbers to digest, so I'm sure you guys have busy days. And I just had a question for clarification for this one here. It says includes county, so the enrollment in the both are including both county or just our district?
So that includes both. So that the enrollment and the ADA is including what we count as with county included in that.
Annually for the year?
Yes, because when we turn in our report for LCFF and to determine how much LCFF funding we receive, we actually are reporting our county as well, our county students.
Thank you. We'll ask,
Move to approve.
okay, first by trustee Chard, second by trustee Bradford. Next questions?
Thank you.
Call for the vote, sorry. 2018-2009 audit report, Mrs. Ford.
Yes, tonight we have Mr. Jeff Nigro of Nigro & Nigro, the district's independent auditor, and he is here this evening to present the district's 2018-2019 financial activities. Take it away, Jeff.
Thank you, Paula. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Duchamp, welcome. Thank you for having me here. So Paula gave you a glimpse of the future, but I'm going to take you on a little journey into the past. So we're talking about the 2018-19 audit, and just to give you a little bit of how the timeline works, because here we are in December, 6 months into the new fiscal year, but we're already looking back. But we start the audit in as early as January by doing a lot of audit planning, and then we go out and visit some of the school sites in the spring. We look at their attendance procedures, we look at their student body funds, and then we spend a week in the district looking at internal controls and processes and checks and balances. I think we even talked to one or two of you. So we do a lot of work before the books even ever close. And then obviously in September you adopt your unaudited actuals, and then we have numbers to look at that point. So we come back in the fall for another week. We go through, we vouch, we verify, we tick and tie, we do what we do, and then we follow up and we write this real lengthy report. And today's actually the deadline day for it to be filed with the state. Yours was filed prior to that, but so that's why it takes a while for us to get up here and do this presentation, because it's a year-long process, because we're getting all our reports filed, and then next month we're going to be out starting again. So it seems like we never leave, right? So the objective of all that, that all told is 400 to 450 hours, somewhere in that time frame, for us to spend on your district's audit. And it's for us to give an opinion on financial statements, and essentially we're basically telling you that the financial statements are in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. So that's really the prime objective of the audit, and so it's what we call an unmodified opinion. It's a clean opinion, so you can count on those financials. Now the rest of the report, I'm not going to walk you through all of it, but just point out some of the highlights. And the section right after our opinion, which begins on page 3, is called Management's Discussion and Analysis. I like to say it's the section of the audit report for those of you who aren't numbers people. You just want a synopsis. This is basically a summarized version of your financial statements, where it talks about the big picture and how the district did compared to the previous year and things like that. If you don't really want to get into all the details, you can just skim through that section. The financial statements themselves is where it really gets voluminous. A lot of numbers, different financial statements that present different types of financial information. There's some that look at the big picture of the district with all the funds combined, and then there's some that look specifically at individual funds and activity. And then when you get to the notes, we get a lot of detail, and that's really where if you are a numbers person and you're, you know, an accounting nerd like me, you can really get into a lot of the detail, the story behind the numbers, where those, how those amounts were calculated and things like that. So there's a lot of information in there about the district's involvement in pension plans like STRS and PERS and retiree benefit health plans and things like that. So fascinating stuff if you're into governmental accounting. That's required to be presented by GASB. There's some schedule. I assure you the budget changes a lot during the course of a year. So there's some schedules that show that, and there's a bunch of other schedules that the State Controller's Office requires to be in here that they're the agency up in Sacramento that receives and approves your audit report. So we have to appease them as well and show information about your ADA and your instructional time offerings. And there's a schedule that shows financial trends, and it shows over the last 3 years of the general fund how the district's been doing. There's some letters in the back where the tab Other Independent Auditors Reports is, and they're written in accountingese. I'll translate them for you. Essentially, they're 3 letters, and they say that we, in doing a course of our audit, we followed government auditing standards. We followed the uniform guidance, which talks about how we audit your federal programs, and we also followed the state audit guide, which we're required to follow in auditing your state programs. And if we found any areas where the district was out of compliance with any of those laws or regulations, or any areas where internal controls need to be improved, were there any deficiencies or weaknesses in checks and balances, that we would report them to you here as audit findings. And that takes you to the last section of the report, which is findings and question costs, which is usually where everybody goes to first. I'm pleased to report we have no audit findings to report to you tonight, so it's a clean report all around. The last page sometimes confuses people. It's a schedule of prior audit findings, so each year we have to report back on the status of audit findings that were reported in previous audits. And so we're reporting on the status of the audit finding that was in the 17-18 fiscal year audit, and we're saying that the district implemented our recommendation and corrected that one. So that's it, and I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Sir, I'm probably on the opposite end of the audit nerd spectrum from you. So is there any question that we should ask you that might not occur to us that we should ask you?
You know what, when it's a clean audit report like this, usually there aren't very many questions. The questions are usually more numerous when there's a lot of issues to be dealt with, and I've stood in front of a lot of boards that have numerous findings and they don't ask questions. I think you're not in that position, so I can't think of anything you should ask me.
In that case, why do you think we are doing so well?
Well, I was going to wait till the end, but I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Paula and Jackie and their team for being helpful, cooperative. But the other issue I see in a lot of districts when there's a lot of problems is a lot of turnover, management turnover. Just by way of example, we have another client that's a little smaller than this district, but we've been their auditors for 5 years, and they're currently on their 6th CBO in that 5-year period. So, sure.
Mr. Nagel, thank you. I did have an opportunity to sit with you, I think sometime this year. I don't remember it. Kind of
I think it was around April or May.
Yeah, I think so. And I do auditing myself, but it's a little different quality. So I think we talked about that during your visit, and so just talking to you, I kind of felt, kind of understood what the process was, and we talked about the district, and in my years working with Mrs. Ford, Mrs. Benson, everyone else here, I think everyone's doing a great job, and having the staff, I think, is really important to give us that continuity throughout the years and the decades. So just want to thank you again for for all your hard work, and we appreciate it.
And I assure you, just because we have a clean audit doesn't mean we give them a pass next year. We start fresh every year. We try really hard to look for things to find.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming
Thank
out. Thank
Of
you.
course. Good night.
Thank you, Jeff.
And we'll get a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
First by Trustee Chard, second by Trustee Riggle. Any comments? No? We'll move. Call for the vote. Passes 5-0. Annual and 5-year reportable statutory school fees and the finding contained in the Government Code 66006 and 5-year reports for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. Mrs. Ford.
Under SB, the board annual and 5-year report of the collection and expenditure on 180 days of the end of the fiscal contain the full report and the resolution for board adoption. 5-year reportable statutory school fees and the findings contained in the Government Code 66006 and 66001 annual and 5-year report 2019.
Move for approval.
First, Trustee Garcia, second by Trustee Riggle. Any comments, questions? No? Call for the vote. Passes 5-0. Item E, adopt resolution number 2020/19, resolution in support of Proposition 13, Public Preschools K-12 and College Health and Safety Bond Act of 2020 Assembly Bill 48. Dr. Hanson.
Yes, this is a resolution in support of the school facilities bond that will be on the ballot in March 2020. If you recall, we brought AB 48 previously, and now that it has been assigned a proposition number, Proposition 13, we are again bringing this resolution forward in support of that measure. So administration recommends this evening that the board adopt resolution 2020/19, resolution in support of Proposition 13, Public Preschool K-12 College Health and Safety Bond Act of 2020.
Move for approval.
Second.
First by Trustee Garcia, second by Trustee Chard.
I have a question.
Question? Yep.
Dr. Hanson, oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Okay, pushing this through, what is this going to do to our district? How is it going to impact us?
That's a great question. So as we've shared through the presentations over the years, we are eligible for state grants as we conduct modernization and new construction projects. So this, by supporting this bond and this bond passing, it will allow the district to access state grants that we are eligible for as we move through these projects. So I think there's about anywhere between 35, 40 million available still for us moving forward.
So we're eligible, but does that mean that we're not going to, if this passes, the bond our paperwork to request the 35, 40 million, there's no guarantee, or I know there's times you've mentioned that we're next in line.
Right. So the program will change a little bit. That's going to be based on a scoring system, but as long as we meet the criteria, which we do in many cases, and our district is favorable for the point system, we will be entitled to those dollars.
Okay. And then one more question. If this does pass, what is the board or the district going to do if this goes to campaign? Do we have a plan to participate and encourage people to vote for this, or are we just going to vote here tonight and then let it be?
That's a good question. So we will obviously, as we promote Measure E and encourage voters to vote for the local measures, we will also want to encourage them to vote for the state bond as well, because those go hand in hand, and it allows the district to access and maximize the dollars available to it.
Madam President?
Yeah.
So, I just want to make a comment, I think. It's kind of misleading, this Prop 13, this is not actually Prop 13 as we know it, so please make sure when you talk to people about this out in the community that it's not Prop 13. I don't know why they reused the numbers. It's the State Facilities Bond. And at the Delegate Assembly at the California School Board Association Conference earlier this month, we voted to support this bond measure. So and it's very important to the governor too, so we expect him to go out there and really push it. But I just wanted to make that comment to make sure we let people know when we're talking to them, it's not Prop 13, your housing thing, right? This is a whole new thing. So I just want to make that comment real quick. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Did we had already? Okay, call for the vote.
I forgot that we did the sketch. I thought we do it differently tonight. We've done it both ways. It's getting late.
That's why. Passes 5-0. Item F, adopt resolution number 2020/20 rendering local zoning or ordinance inapplicable to the concert hall project at Rubidoux High School. Dr. Hansen.
So this resolution pertains to the planning of the concert hall at Rubidoux High School, if that were to come to fruition in the future. Essentially, what this resolution does is the board makes a decision that the design and the location and the construction of the building is not applicable to zoning codes for the city, because it sits well onto the property of Rubidoux High School, and we are essentially held accountable to the codes and the regulations through the Division of State Architect. So at this time, administration recommends that the board adopt resolution number 2020-20 or /20, rendering local zoning ordinances inapplicable to the concert hall project at Rubidoux High School.
Move to approve.
I second.
First by Trustee Chard, second by Trustee Riggle. Call for the vote. Passes 5-0. And last but not least, we have board member committee reports. We'll start with Trustee Bradford.
As I say, I always have an opinion. This week I want to talk about meeting with the best of the best committee regarding the peer-to-peer nominations of excellence within our school district. And I was so pleased to see what staff members say about their coworkers. And this time I was especially impressed to see, bye Wendy, to see how many people specifically commented on their custodial staff. And does anybody know that college test about, this may be urban legend, but it's all the questions in the class, and then the last question is, what is the cleaning lady's name? You know, because you don't know who you're going to need to know to succeed in your career. And for the record, our cleaning lady is Patty. But it's how much the staff appreciates their custodians. And again, these are people who have interactions with our children that are not punitive, not anything other than maybe handing out the ball cart. I don't know if you still have ball carts and the way we did at school, but But, you know, teaching children to be good custodians of their environment. And I'm very pleased to see that our staff appreciates their custodial staff members. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Bradford. Trustee Chard.
Chart. I don't have much more to say. I just want to thank everyone for a good year that we've had this year. I've enjoyed working with everyone in the district and meeting new people at each of the sites that I've been, seeing how our district has grown and continues to grow, whether it be expanding outside or inside, changing the appearance of it. I think all our staff has done a wonderful job. Our board has done a great job. We've had a good year. We've accomplished a lot, I think. And of course, I'd like to brag a little bit about it, but we don't really have to because every one of you have been a part of it and you know what goes on and what it takes to get us there. I just want to wish everyone, wherever you may be and however you may be celebrating, I wish that you have a safe and happy holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Trustee Garcia.
Well, thank you. I just have one thing. Mrs. Eccles left already. She just left a little too soon. So I wanted to share with everyone that the California Delegate Assembly meeting we had last couple weeks ago. So there were competing measures to go on the ballot in November 2020. One was the school and communities measure that Mrs. Eccles talked about today, asked us to do a resolution, and it's that one's a split roll, so it's going to be that one's kind of a Prop 13 reform, if you will, and it'll bring around $4 billion, I think, back for education. Now the California School Board has been working on full and fair funding for the last several years since I've been on the board, and that one's actually polled better. Probably it was going to be like $15 billion, and they even measure that polled still above 55%. However, you know, CTA kind of gathered their resources and they had prepared, so they got they're going to be on the ballot in November 2020, and I think we should support that. So CSBA's measure will probably be on in 2022 or 2024, because we still expect that the school and communities is not going to make up for the gap in funding. So just wanted to give that update real quick, and I think we should support that school and communities because it really, and with that, congratulations again, President Ortega, and Trustee Bradford is our clerk. So looking forward to a great year. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Then we'll do next Trustee. Oh my goodness. Rego. Sorry, it's getting late.
No worries. I did neglect to mention that, so congratulations for taking the president's seat of our board here and throughout the district. I know that you're going to shine. And Trustee Bradford, yes, congratulations on taking the clerk seat. Look forward to our partnership over the next year. Earlier, I neglected to mention also that I participated at the Jurupa Middle School holiday drive on Saturday. I worked the toys section that allowed the families come over, and each child that qualified was able to select a gift. So the students that volunteer, they did all the work, and they were so efficient. They were so organized. They were very polite. It was a great experience. Typically, I spend a lot of my time with Adopt-A-Family, as everybody knows. I've been there for years, but I thought, I need to also venture on my side of the community and within the district. So it was a great experience to be involved and volunteer. And then as far as meetings, we have the facilities planning meeting this week. Crystal is taking over the position to coordinate, and she is so on top of it. I see calendar invites come through. She's very, very organized. I really appreciate those advanced calendar invites So then it pegs my calendar to make sure that I don't book anything around it. But I look forward to attending on Tuesday. And then I know that everybody's getting ready to leave school for the holidays, so I just really want to express and say Merry Christmas to our district, everybody that works here, and our students, and to Hanukkah, to our members that celebrate Hanukkah. But I hope everybody enjoys their holidays. And one thing is, Josh, I have my iPad, it's charged. I'm just like first dibs, so you come right up here and you can grab mine and update it. But thank you all.
Thank you, Trustee Rego. And I had shared my comments earlier, but just briefly, CABE had their, we had the CABE Riverside chapter meeting last week in Corona, and it was amazing. Their choir madrigal came out. We were going to have mariachi, but they couldn't come, so we had madrigals, which was just phenomenal as well. Our next CABE chapter meeting will be here in Jurupa, so hopefully we can get the mariachi to come over here now, since they couldn't make it to Corona. So keep out, I'll give you guys those dates. And as well, happy holidays, and be safe, stay warm. It's really freezing out there. I mean, for us Californians, it's like, this is not cold, but hey, we get really hot. This is cold, I know. We need probably heaters down here or something. And last but not least, also on Thursday, one of our graduates from Rubidoux High School is making history here in Jurupa Valley. From our district, become a mayor of the city. Man, that just gives me chills. And that's it for me. Any final comments, Mr. Duchamp?
Merry Christmas to all and to all.
Board meeting adjourned. Thank you.